All right, let's jump right into this explainer for the incredibly gripping short film screenplay, The Time Travel 2026, The Past Will Tremble. Today, we're unpacking a really wild character arc. We're going to see exactly how a totally directionless modern vlogger gets completely remolded into a hardened, grounded survivor. And he does this through a pretty grueling, tactile ordeal in ancient Rome. It's just a fantastic journey of literal and metaphorical survival, and the visual storytelling we're about to look at is absolutely captivating. So we drop right into the action with our protagonist, Alex Mercer, as he literally mutters this breathless, bewildered realization. Picture this: just moments before, he was wandering through a modern museum down beneath the Colosseum. He ignores a "do not touch" sign, obviously, and puts his hand right on a glowing artifact. In a massive flash of blinding light, his comfortable modern world just vanishes. He abruptly lands face first in the heavy dirt and absolute chaos of the ancient past. The sheer shock of this moment really sets the stage for everything that comes next.
Section 1. Arrival in the Ancient World. Right off the bat, the script completely strips away Alex's modern comforts. It thrusts him instantly into a weighty, physical reality where just taking a single step is a desperate struggle. And this beautifully illustrates the thematic contrast of his whole journey. I mean, minutes ago in the modern world, his biggest problem was arguing with his parents about getting a real job and chasing internet likes for his travel vlog. But now he is literally sprinting for his life from spear-wielding Roman guards who think his weird clothes and smartphone make him some sort of barbarian spy. The apathy of 2026 crashes right into the lethal stakes of antiquity.
The narrative leans so hard into the gritty, physical exhaustion of this initial chase. Alex is sprinting blindly through market stalls, knocking over pottery, dodging hanging cloth, all while the guards are just multiplying behind him. He is totally out of his element here. The frantic chase only stops when he desperately shoves his way through a heavy wooden door tucked in a narrow alleyway, collapsing inside to find some much-needed temporary sanctuary.
Section 2. Finding Sanctuary in Rome.
Okay. Behind that heavy door, the pace finally slows down. This is where he meets Livia and her rather imposing brother, Marcus. Now, these are two characters who will fundamentally reshape Alex's soft, modern perspective, forcing him to adapt to a world that doesn't have a safety net. Initially, Marcus views Alex as a total threat. He actually draws his blade and sizes him up like prey. But Livia? She notices that Alex is completely terrified, shaking like a guy who has clearly never held a sword in his life. She makes this calculated decision to hide him until the soldiers give up their search. And to actually help him survive, she offers him some rough, plain clothing, a tan tunic and worn leather sandals, so he can blend into the textured, everyday fabric of the ancient city without drawing lethal attention to himself.
You know, the script beautifully softens that intense life-or-death tension through these very grounded, human moments. The very next morning, Alex is trying to make himself useful in the kitchen, but he just ends up clumsily attacking a mortar and pestle, basically exploding flour all over his own face. Marcus walks in, takes one look at him, and just deadpans this fantastic line. It's a great little moment of levity, sure, but it really highlights exactly how unprepared Alex is for even the most basic tasks of this era.
Section 3. The Barbarians' Training.
This sanctuary isn't just a cozy place to hide out and wait. It rapidly turns into a crucible of deliberate, grueling physical training. Marcus realizes pretty fast that if Alex is going to survive out there, he has to learn how to defend himself. So he forces Alex through this rigid progression of physical steps. First, Marcus teaches him the sheer basics, holding the weapon properly so he doesn't just immediately drop it. Next, he teaches him how to actually face an enemy and land a block instead of just spinning wildly out of control. And finally, Marcus drills relentless, repetitive footwork. It is not glamorous in the slightest. It's just grinding, exhausting work.
During all this training, Alex somehow maintains his modern humor, joking that this exhausting process might only upgrade his tombstone to, say, died averagely. But the crucial takeaway here is that Marcus is quite literally carving survival instincts into Alex's muscle memory. He's entirely stripping away Alex's reliance on modern technology and replacing it with raw physical awareness and endurance.
Section 4. Betrayal and the Arena.
Well, just as Alex starts finding a little peace and genuine connection in this sanctuary, the warmth is completely shattered. Livia and Marcus's debt-ridden father, Valerius, discovers the outsider hiding in his home. Valerius calculates the massive reward offered for the fugitive and coldly sells Alex out to the Roman authorities just to clear his family's debts. What follows is this desperate, visceral horseback chase through crowded city streets. But Marcus's earlier warnings prove completely right. There are simply too many soldiers. Alex is thrown from his horse, captured, bound by the wrists, and dragged before the magistrate. His sentence is swift. He's thrown into the dark, damp holding cells beneath the Colosseum to let the sand decide his fate.
Right before his trial begins, Marcus and Livia actually manage to slip past some bribed guards to reach his cell. Marcus delivers this urgent final piece of advice through the iron bars. They promise him that they've secured an escape route out of the city at the eastern gate. The catch? All Alex has to do is manage to walk out of that arena alive. The stakes literally could not be higher.
Section 5. Surviving the Gladiator Trials. All right, now we reach the true climax of the narrative. Alex steps out from those dark tunnels into the blinding, roaring sunlight of the Colosseum. He's dressed in just a simple white tunic, looking incredibly small and alone against the massive scale of the arena. His training is about to be put to the ultimate tactile test, and the script meticulously escalates the stakes over consecutive days. This isn't just a one-and-done fight. On day 1, Alex is thrown against a ferocious lion, and then immediately after, a desperate, hollow-eyed inmate. On day 2, a highly skilled gladiator. And finally, on the last day, his ultimate test, a heavily armored Roman soldier. Every single round demands something totally different from him.
Let's look at how Alex actually applies his training to survive each of these grueling matches. Against the Beast, it's pure dodging and scrambling. We're talking survival by mere inches here. Against the Inmate, it's an exhausting, sloppy fight where he essentially just outlasts the man whose strength is already gone. Against the skilled gladiator, he uses the specific defensive sweep Marcus taught him. And against that armored soldier, it all comes down to the relentless drilled footwork.
This scene beautifully illustrates the incredible payoff of Act 3. In round 3 against the gladiator, Alex is bare-chested and completely vulnerable. But when the gladiator charges, Marcus's training holds up. Alex ducks, counters, and successfully disarms his opponent with a desperate sweep. And incredibly, with thousands in the crowd watching, Alex lowers his sword and bravely chooses mercy, flat-out refusing to end anyone's story.
Then the final crushing test arrives on day 3. Alex faces a heavily armored soldier equipped with full plate, a tall shield, and a really long spear. Alex is exhausted, he's bleeding, and he's facing massive, heavy weight. Every attempt he makes to attack head-on is met with a brutal shield bash that just sends him sprawling right back into the dirt. He desperately needs a new plan.
Remembering Marcus's voice in his head, Alex finally stops trading blows head-on. He starts using his drilled footwork to constantly circle his opponent, baiting the heavier soldier into overreaching and striking at the narrow gaps in the armor. It's a really slow, grinding strategy, but it works, causing Marcus to whisper this line in absolute, quiet disbelief from the stands. The modern vlogger is successfully fighting exactly like a Roman. With one last, desperate strike, Alex manages to knock the sword right out of the soldier's grip and pins his arm into the sand. Once again, he doesn't strike a killing blow. There is nothing offered to spare. The crowd falls into this stunned silence for a second before just erupting. They are unpredictably roaring and chanting for his victory. By showing mercy and proving his hard-earned skill, Alex wins the absolute favor of the crowd, officially earning his freedom from the reluctant magistrate.
Out in the plaza, Livia and Marcus meet a battered but totally victorious Alex. He emerges from this crucible completely remolded. He is no longer that directionless, apathetic vlogger always running away from his responsibilities. He is a grounded survivor who has intimately learned the true weight of consequence and the real value of resilience. Before they part, Livia gifts him the twin of the stone artifact he touched in the future, offering him his only way back home.
Pressing the stone, Alex is instantly transported back to 2026, but he is forever changed by what happened. The script ends with a montage years later. Alex carries the literal and metaphorical scars of Rome with him, eventually turning his unbelievable ordeal into an incredibly honest, best-selling memoir called Echoes of Rome. He finally found his one true story, lived it, and actually survived it.
So, as we wrap up this explainer on such an incredible screenplay, I want to leave you with this final, resonant thought based on Alex Mercer's wild journey. Does it take being completely stripped of our easy, automated modern world and facing the raw, unfiltered reality of survival to finally mold us into who we are truly meant to be? Really makes you think twice next time you look at the conveniences around you, right? Thanks for joining me on this deep dive. Catch you next time.